Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode in our Mercedes Sprinter camper conversion series. Today we're going to be finishing off the kitchen. If you haven't already done so, go and check out our first video of our first cabinet build just up here. Today we're going to be building on that. We've had our cooker delivered, so we're going to be going to install that in the van. We've also got our worktop and we'll be building some extra cabinets. Into the worktop we're also going to be fitting our sink and our tap, and then we'll show you how it all looks when it's finished. So let's go and start that. So today we're going to be installing the cooker. It's going to be going into this location in the van on the right hand side next to our cabinet that we've already had installed. So the first thing we've got to do is build a box unit just down on the bottom. The cooker isn't full height of this cabinet, so we just need to lift it off the floor. So we're going to be building a square box that will be then sitting the cooker on top of. Still undecided on whether we're going to be using that as an actual cabinet, and it depends on the size of the unit, but we might put a door on the front of it, or we might just blank it off so there's an unusable space. So we're going to go and build that box out of some 12mm ply, and then we can sit the cooker on top. So let's go out and build the box. Okay, so the oven comes with handy user manual, which gives you all the different dimensions that you need to make sure that you're adhering to. Various different clearances that you need to make sure you've got. For example, there needs to be a 10mm gap just around the front edge of the oven, just so that any warm air can escape. And then it gives you the handy dimensions just to be able to fit the opening. So we're building our box to the size of the opening, and then the oven is going to sit on top of there. So first thing we're going to do is cut out the two sides and the top and the bottom of the box, and then we're going to go and join those together. So we've now got our two bases and our two sides cut out. The next piece we're going to do is going to be using the router just to go along here, router line along, and then the base can sit in that line and we'll drill from the other side. It's exactly the same way that we built the other cabinet inside the van. Just gives you that ability just to be able to sit the base in, and then you can screw it and glue it so it sits in nice and secure. So we're just going to get the round router bit, run it along there and give us a nice line. The line's probably going to be about as half the depth of the piece of ply, just so it sits in nicely. So we've now routed the two lines across the boards. So the next thing to do is to put some wood glue in and then start fitting the pieces together. We're going to put some wood glue across and then just some screws in just to hold it in to give it that extra bit of support. The box is all now fitted together, so we've got the two sides on and the bottom. To fit the top piece we've just added some batten rails just to the two sides, and then our piece of ply is going to sit down on top of here and then screw down in. This just gives us the wide enough base to be able to sit our cooker down onto. So we're going to screw that in, and then that makes the box that the cooker is going to sit on. The box is now built, so it's going to go installed in the van. We're going to go and lift it in, and then we can sit the cooker down on top just to see if it all fits. Then once we've done that, we can start securing this into the other cabinet that's already in the van, and then sit the cooker down on top. The oven is now in place in the van. As you can see, it's sat on top of the box. We've also applied these side panels just to the side of the oven, and these are going to screw onto each of the sides just to hold the oven in place. It does also recommend that you put a plinth underneath the back of the oven just to hold it up square. So we've just got some temporary bits of wood in there for now. We're going to fix those in onto the box. This is how it's going to look in the cabinets. We've got our gas pipe and our water pipe running through here. So the next bit now is we're going to be connecting up the gas. To do that, we're going to be using a two-way manifold, which is this little appliance just here. So this will allow us to have a single feed in from the gas tanks underneath, and then you've got your two outlets down here, one for our truma and then one for the cooker. So we're going to be mounting this on the back wall just behind the oven, and then we're going to be bringing the pipe up from the gas tanks underneath into this side just here, so that we've got a single feed going in. One thing that you do need for any gas appliances where you have any type of fixing, whether it's something like this or whether you've got the hard fixing into the bottom of the oven, is you do need a gas dropout valve. So you need to drill a hole into the floor of the van. This is just in case there are any leaks. LPG is heavier than air, so it will fall to the floor and then drop out through the bottom of the van. Also, for any connections of any gas appliances inside that are fixed inside the van, you need to have a rigid connection. You can't use any form of rubber piping or anything like that. It does need to be copper to copper, so that's why we're using this, and we've got our 8mm copper piping going through as well. For any removable appliances, if you've got anything that's removable, say a cooktop, you can use rubber, but if it is fixed into the van, you do need to have that rigid connection. This is the gas dropout valve that we've put in. So it's just a hole down through the floor of the van, and then a grill just sat on top, just to allow it, if any gas ever does leak, hopefully it will never need to use it, but it can just drop down through the bottom of the van. As I said, gas is heavier than air, so it will just drop to the floor and out through that hole. Also, we've drilled another hole just in the floor, I think you can see it just there, which is the gas pipe that's going to be running down to the gas tanks, which are going to be being fitted. So we've got that pipe down there so that they can just connect straight into there, and then we've got our manifold fitted to the side of the van, and then we've got the pipe coming in for the truma already. Obviously we're going to clip these in just so they're nice and tidy, and then the other spare one is going to be for the cooker. So the next bit is to connect all the cabinets back in, join them all together, and then lift the cooker back on top of the unit. Right, so the cooker's now all installed, all screwed in, all the gas connections made at the back. We also connected in the 12-volt supply for the ignition. So when we lift up the lid now, we lift up the lid, push it back, and push the ignition button, we get ignition. Unfortunately we can't test the gas yet, obviously we haven't got the gas tanks installed, but all the connections are all made. If we look down the back, hopefully you can see them down in there. All the gas connections are made. We can get to those switches just underneath the cabinet. If we ever need to turn the gas off for whatever reason, we can reach in underneath this cabinet here, and then all of the connections are in the back. Don't know if we can get in and show you that one in there, but that's all in the back just under here. That's in the back of this cabinet. Hopefully you can see that just in the back there. So we've got the two taps. Obviously up is on, and then 90 degrees is off. So it's just an extra cut off in case we ever need to disconnect the gas from within inside the van. We can do that as well. So next stage is now to start building the other side cabinet and get the cooker all screwed in from this side. As you can see, we've now got the other cupboard in the opposite side of the cooker. We've also got our waste pipe coming up through the floor, another hole that we've had to drill in the floor just to get this waste pipe down, and then this is connected into the grey water tank that we've got at the back underneath. So that's going to be going onto our sink. So this is now all built in. So the next job is we're going to be putting some worktop on. So we're going to be starting down this end and installing the worktop on to this end. So we're going to go and cut some worktop. The worktop that we decided to go with is an IKEA worktop. It's a concrete effect laminate that we're going to be cutting to fit in all these bits here. So it's going to go onto there, and it's going to come onto this side as well. So we're going to go out and cut that now. So this is the worktop that we've decided to go for. As you can see, it's a concrete effect laminate. It's a 2.48 metre long board, which we're going to be cutting into sections. We'll be using the router to do that, so we just got a straight bit on the router, and we're going to mark it up and then cut in to the board with that. So let's go and measure up the piece that we need for the side of the cooker. There we have our countertops all installed. Took a little bit of work just to get them all lined up. A few little adjustments to some of the cabinets, but they're all now in. Sit nicely, a little bit of an overhang this end in front of the cooker. So that's all nicely squared up. Takes a little bit of time, but it's worthwhile getting it right. Trying to get everything nice and level so that when you look down the lines it all looks neat. Obviously you can't use a spirit level or anything inside the van because the van might not be sat straight, so you can't use a level, so you just have to use dimensions, just measure down from everything using squares just to make sure everything's in the right place. So on the back of the wall just here we're going to be putting a splashback which is going to sit down on top of the worktop. The next job now is we're going to cut the hole for the sink. So we've got our new sink that's just been delivered, so we'll sit that on top just to show you what that looks like. So this is the sink. It's quite a large sink. What we're thinking is we can also use this as kind of a washing any clothes or anything like that we need to. We're going to have a single tap just off to the left. So we now got to cut the hole for this and get this all sat in. This is actually an undermount sink, but we're going to be using it as an overmount. We're just going to cut the hole and then sink it down into the worktop. So we just need to make all the measurements and then cut the hole with the router. And there we have the sink now installed in the cutout. Just got it clamped down, so it's sealed in with some clear silicone. We've just got the front clamped down just so that it holds it in nice and tight. We've done the same with the other sides, and we're just clearing up any silicone as it squidges out, just cleaning it off the top. Also underneath, got all the waste connections set up. So we've got the waste going off there, which is going to connect into our grey water pipe, connect that up. And then we've got an extra spout here, which we're probably going to blank off for now, just so that we can use the sink and then decide if we want to use that later on, but it's always handy to have that extra connection point if you need. There is also an overflow on this sink, which we've connected. You can just see that pipe just at the back, just there, and then that connects just into the front, just here. So it connects in for your overflow. So the next bit is we're going to be installing our tap. The tap's going to go on the worktop, just the left hand side of the sink, just over there. So we're going to go and install the tap. This is the tap that we've gone for. It's a Lazada 1030 tap. We'll leave a link in the description below to where we bought this from. But it's the hosel type tap, where you can unclip it and use it as a spout as well. You can use that anywhere around in the sink. Be really handy for washing up. And like I said, if we use the sink for washing any clothes or anything like that, it's really handy to have one of these. We've got one of these in the house. Find it really useful. So next thing we need to do is to drill a hole for the mounting point to go down inside. So this bit goes down inside the worktop. Then you've got all your pipe connections on the bottom as well. So going to be drilling a hole in the worktop, just the left hand side of the sink, and then we can get the tap mounted. And there we have the tap installed into the worktop as well. It's just a case of drilling a hole down through the worktop, fitting the tap down in, and then all the pipe work's connected down underneath, just with some screw fittings. And then we've got our sink in there as well, just with our handy little draining board that you can sit down in. This is a removable item, so when you are using the sink you can take that out, but it's just handy for putting pots and pans down onto, just to let them drip dry down into the sink. Really pleased with how that's working. I'll move this out of the way here and turn the tap on and get running water. Really good pressure there from the water pump. Also hot and cold water once we get the truma installed, which will be coming up in a later video. We'll also have hot water in here as well. Really pleased with how that's gone. So that's it for another video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome. If you are liking these videos, remember to give us a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already done so, remember to hit that subscribe button down the bottom there. It really helps our channel come along. We love putting these videos out for you. We're sorry we haven't put something out for the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of busy weekends in work, going away. We've been away for a couple of weekends, but we're now back out in the van looking to get this finished so we can start taking it away in the summer. Next week's video we're going to be installing the truma unit. That's also been delivered, so we can get that installed into the van, start getting some hot water running, which will be really nice. And then we'll be able to finish off the shower, getting all the shower installed and getting that set up. But that's it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!